What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for joining me for another episode where I sit down with more incredible humans. On today's show, I had the pleasure of catching up with the 7-time CrossFit Games athlete, Kari Pearce. She took some time away from social media, but recently came back, and boy, did she have a lot to say. She was very open and transparent about her struggle with hormones over the years as a high level competitive athlete, and even being diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which leads to fertility problems. I am so grateful that she came on the show to talk more about her journey and let us know that there is a happy ending to her struggle. Her and her husband, Mitch McClune, have announced they are expecting. I am so excited for you guys to hear more about her journey, hear more about the struggles. And hopefully, if anybody out there is struggling the way that Kari has been throughout the years, this can give you a safe space to learn more about her journey and maybe even ask questions. So make sure you guys like, subscribe to the channel, send this to a friend. If you know somebody in need to hear this story, send it over to them. And without any further ado, let's welcome in Kari Pearce. Kari Pearce, it's so great to always catch up with you, but especially right now because you just posted some of the best news on Instagram.
Thank you. Yes, and it's always a pleasure speaking with you too, Lauren. And I feel like we now announced it a little later than a lot of other people do, but I feel like everyone has different timing that's right for them. And I'm like looking at my belly, I'm like, I can't hide it anymore. So the world is going to know that, yeah, we're going to have a little baby in June.
Well, congratulations to you and Mitch. I know it has been a long journey, which we'll get into. But first, how have you been feeling? And do you know if it's a boy or girl yet?
So it is going to be a little girl. I'm going to start with that because I feel like that's exciting. And
You're
when
both
we
wearing
first,
pink, so a little bit
yeah,
obvious,
yeah.
but it didn't say.
Yeah, we were wearing pink, but we've gotten so many questions if it's a girl or boy. There's been so many people reach out and like in our minds, I was like, let's get these little cute pink dumbbells. We're gonna wear pink. Like people are gonna know it's a girl. But I think because a lot of people do their pregnancy announcement and then like however much later than they do the girl or boy. But because we announced it later too, then we already knew that it was gonna be a girl. So I was like, I hope the world is ready for a mini me because that's what we're gonna get. I'm just kidding.
It might be. She might come out with a 6-pack of abs too. You never know.
And then someone was like, right when she comes in, she's gonna start handstand walking. So
Oh, yeah. She'll be faster on her hands than her feet. You're pretty fast on your feet too, though, to be fair.
yeah, thank you. But definitely better on my hands. So that would be fun. I was
How
like,
far along are you then?
I am 25 weeks. So a little, I think they say like just past 6 months. So still in the second trimester, but the end, I have like 2 more weeks in the second trimester, I think, and then on to the third. So it like went so slow in the first, back to your question of how I'm feeling. First trimester, really rough. I found out at about 6 weeks. And then after that is like when the morning sickness and all the extreme
Mm,
fatigue, like I was a little tired before, but then right after that is when that hit and like the Mitch calls it like super smell because everything like the smell, your smell is just escalated. And I love eating, like we eat stir fry veggies just on a
yeah.
skillet. And Mitch would start cooking them. And I'm like, "Bleh," like you need to put on the
Oh,
diffuser.
no.
Like, yeah. So any little thing, like you can just, your smell is just so elevated. It's like, you're like, it's your superhero response, I guess. I was like, I don't think I want to smell like, no thanks. Like some smells obviously are great, but when you have the morning sickness too, you're
Mm.
just, yeah, you're not feeling it. But yeah, first trimester, rough, tired, still managed to like get in some workouts and stuff because I was like, I know this is important, but also I just
Mhm.
want to lay on the couch. And so I was like, I know I need to like work out and I would always feel better after, but and I feel like even in normal life, the hardest part is getting started. But then
Mhm.
when you're that tired, it's like, that much harder. But then the second trimester rolled around, even like a week or two into it, and then I felt a lot better. So have been able to work out pretty regularly, which I feel like is really nice. And hopefully I've heard a lot of moms can continue until, the day they give birth. But I'm just going to take it day by day and see how my body feels, and hopefully can keep working out, but just got to be smart right now.
Well, and you have so many women that I think you can lean on from past experience, specifically in the CrossFit space. I mean,
Mhm.
Sammy Moniz, who's fiance with Matt Frazier. You have Tia Claire Toomey. You now have Amanda Barnhart, who just announced her pregnancy. Noah Olson's wife just announced her pregnancy. It's like something is in the air with our generation in the CrossFit space.
Mhm. It really is, and it's funny, yeah, because like, we just announced Friday, and then Saturday we saw Noah, and I think Amanda Barnhart was on Sunday, and I was like, "This is crazy that it's just like bam, bam, bam," and I have a lot of friends that are pregnant. My sister just gave birth in December, so it's nice having so many people, like, and different people, because everyone has different experiences,
Mhm.
a lot of similarities too, so it's just been nice seeing other people and reaching out and talking to them and seeing what their experience is like, and if they have some similar pains, or the morning sickness is obviously like something a lot of women can relate to. So it's nice just like, complaining or whatever with other women about that.
Have you had any crazy cravings, or what's the weirdest thing that you have consumed that maybe you wouldn't eat regularly?
Well, right in the beginning, I mean, I like ice cream. That's my normal go-to
Yeah.
sweet. But in the beginning, I was craving Moose Tracks ice cream, which is something I ate a lot as a kid.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Okay, yeah. And I haven't eaten much of it since, like, we don't really get Moose Tracks. But that was just what I wanted, and I Instacarted it from the store, so I didn't actually have to
Of course.
go. Yeah, and so I got some Moose Tracks, and, like, I had a half gallon. Usually, I have good self-control, but I'm like, for whatever reason, like, this is the only thing I wanna eat. And
Mm.
so, I don't in, like, 3 or 4 days, the half gallon was gone. I was like, "I gotta order another one."
Just have it on the constant Instacart rotation.
I know. Make friends with the Instacart driver.
Yeah, yeah,
"Me
yeah.
again, more Moose Tracks ice cream."
Well, to be
So
fair, I feel like when you're pregnant, that is one of the times where you can give yourself the permission to do that stuff, because you
yeah.
are feeding yourself and your baby and you need more calories, so
Well, it's funny because it's like, "Oh, you're eating for 2," but then, like, when you think about it and you talk to the doctor or you read the books, and they're like, "Yeah, but your second is, like, this big. It's not an actual
a
other human." But
human,
in your
yeah,
mind, you're like, "I'm eating for 2. I can eat all the ice cream, whatever," and, like, but
right.
you definitely do. I will say, like, I do have more, like, wiggle room in my mind, but I'm like, "Okay, I still need to eat healthy for her because I don't want her coming out and then just wanting Moose Tracks ice cream." Just kidding.
That's all she has a palate for when she arrives.
Can you imagine? She, like,
And
starts
no
talking right
stir-fry
when she comes
veggies.
out, she's like, "Ice cream."
Yeah, 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 those are her first words.
Right.
You
Maybe.
said that you found out at the 6-week mark. What's the story behind finding out? Was there a reveal?
It was mainly Mitch and I. So, he had been out of town, he did a competition, and then he went home for a little bit, and I was just at home, I hadn't seen him for, like, yeah, 10 days, and I was just all of a sudden, I was really tired and just, like, laying around, and in the morning, I was like, "I'm not even that hungry." He came home from a flight, and this is not good, but I had 3 shots of espresso. I'm like, "I don't want any food. I'm just tired, and I just want espresso because 'cause I'm trying
Yeah.
to wake up and get energy." And so I ended up having that, picked him up from the airport. We came home, we had lunch. I actually had a friend that had a wedding that night, and Mitch, because he had been home, he was like, "I can't go to the wedding." So I went with, my friend Alex Kazan, and who also
Oh, fun.
competes in CrossFit. Yeah. So she came with me, and we were just like having a good time, whatever. Then the next day, I was just walking around our neighborhood with Mitch, and I'm like, I haven't had my period. I was like, my boobs are feeling bigger. Like, and I was like,
What's
I'm just
happening?
tired. I was like, I was like, my period's gonna be due any day soon. And he's like, no, you're pregnant. And I just looked at him like, no, I'm not. And he's like, you are. So then it got me thinking, and then I know he knew me better than I knew myself.
Mitch, oh my god.
And then he went golfing, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna take it because I had some tests at home. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take the test. And then I just like stared at it and I was just like, and then I started crying. And so I knew, and then yeah, then he was golfing, and then he said he would be home around 6. Usually if he's golfing, that means like 6:15 or 6:30. I was like, perfect. I have time to cook dinner because I was gonna cook dinner, and I was going to, because we always like put the lids from the skillet over the dinner to like keep it warm. So I was like, I'll put mine on a plate, put the lid over on his, I'll do the test, like have it so that he can see it. He ended up getting home, yeah, like right at 6. And I was like, I'm not ready yet. So all the food was still on this stove and the skillets, whatever. But I put the lids like on our plates, and then he like walked in, and I was just there, and I was like, "Oh, how was golf?" And then I just like standing in a place that was like kind of awkward. And he's like, "Why are you being so weird?" And I was like, "I'm
Mm.
just hungry, ready for dinner." And he just like looked at me, and he's like, "Okay." And then he like sat down, and then he took his thing off, and he just like looked at it, and he like looked up. He looked at me, and then he like looked down, looked up, looked at me, and he's like, "I told you so."
Oh my God. Is he the type of person that you could never keep a secret from? And like if you try to throw a surprise, he always sniffs it out?
I've never tried to, uh, have him a surprise or anything. I mean, if I tell him a secret, he will keep it secret. He is one of the best people at keeping.
Mm,
He's
great
a
quality. Yeah.
no, because I'm not totally the other way, but a lot more the other way. And,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
even when we found out it was a girl, I was like, "Okay, who have I told that I'm pregnant? It's a girl. It's a girl. It's a girl." And he's like, we can wait. And like even like telling like some friends, I'm like, I want to tell my friends and people close to you, especially in the beginning, because it's nerve-wracking because people talk about miscarriages and you're like, I don't want to announce it too soon or like tell too many people in case something happens. And he was very much like, okay, I'll tell like one friend, I'll tell my parents and my brother. I'm like, I mean, yeah, whatever you want to do. And then he's like, then we can announce it and then I can tell more people later. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, okay, so yeah, I like try and pick out who I just want to tell. So it's just funny that we're different that way. But yeah, no, I appreciate that he like conceal it.
Wow, he knew just by looking at you and he was right, and God bless you and Mitch. I'm seriously so happy for both of you. You're both amazing humans and gonna be such good parents, and I wish you the most success, and hopefully now the pregnancy, the rest of your trimesters are easy and no more, morning sickness.
Thank you so much. Yeah, fingers crossed. So they say you just get really tired in the third trimester, especially because they're growing so quickly. So they're like in the second trimester, get as many things done as you can. And so yeah, we've just been trying to like get the house like a little bit ready, like to what you can, and like especially like getting the furniture and getting all that set and yeah, just figuring out a lot of reading and learning and stuff too. So a lot of that has been going on. So I'm like, okay, in case like the third trimester I am really tired, then I'll be ready to just kind of chill.
Mhm. And moose tracks.
Yeah, and moose tracks. We have cut out the moose tracks. That was mainly the first trimester. I also did have a few random I had a watermelon craving for a while.
Ooh,
And
yum.
then there was yeah, and it just like I think the hydration too and
Mhm.
strawberries. Then there was like a short stint of just like breakfast sandwiches that I was like craving breakfast sandwiches. And then steak and potatoes was like a short thing too. Yeah, I think that's oh, mac and cheese. There was a mac and cheese phrase. Yeah, just like random little bits. I think that was pretty much it. Mitch might be able to remember better, but yeah, I'd be
We'll
like,
have
"I
to follow up
want"
with him.
what?
We'll have to follow up with him.
Right? Yeah, I'd just be like, say I'm like, "Mac and cheese." He's like, Where did that even you never eat mac and cheese." I was like, "Normally, I don't like really cheese or we don't
Mhm.
eat hardly any pasta." So I'm like, "Yeah, it's really random, but that's what I want. That's what baby girl wants."
Yeah, right, right. It's the baby girl that's asking
Mhm.
mama for it.
Yep. So daddy, go get it. I'm just kidding.
It's perfect.
Mhm.
Let's go back in time because obviously this is the most exciting part of your story, but leading up to
Mhm.
the story there were a lot of not so exciting times, and you actually took a break from social media. So let's just start with, what led to that decision? Was it a decision or was it just, something that organically happened because of life?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely was a decision. I knew like there were things going on with me, like I said, in my health and everything personally. And I'm like, I just don't feel in a place to share things right now because I was like, I don't want to fake being like happy and all this stuff when I like know that I'm like struggling and I'm trying to learn and figure out like my body and my health and whatever. And so I was like, I feel like there's already so much pressure on social media too. And like, I do. I want to like try and keep it real. And that's why I did want to end up sharing my story. And so, like I said, during that time, like I don't really have a reason to be posting. I know I need to take this time for myself just to recover. And I think part of like, I was under a lot of stress just from different angles. And both the fertility doctor and Jen Ryan, the nutritionist that I was working with, told me that. And I'm like, I feel like social media, it's great. And I love it when I am into it, but sometimes it can cause us unneeded stress. Like, oh, how many people liked it? How many people commented? Like,
Mhm.
what should I post? What should I say? Is that a good picture? Do I look fat? Like, there's so many things that go into it. And I was like, I just don't have the mental capacity to do this right now. And it was nice just like taking a break, really focusing on me and what my future journey and my future steps would be.
I think that social media is just like you said, it's so powerful because you can lean into it in some of your happiest moments. But if you're not feeling 100%, or if your like mental headspace isn't in check, there are a ton of things that can be triggering, whether it's you posted something and you're not getting the feedback that you thought that it would generate, or if somebody puts a bad comment or something like that. And in one of your first posts when you returned, you said the past couple of years have been a whirlwind, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you've really been trying to redefine what health looks like since you retired from CrossFit in 2001. At what point did you maybe realize that you you weren't healthy, or that you weren't this defining definition of health?
Okay, well, I'm sorry for crying.
No,
um,
never apologize for crying. You're a human, and you're also a pregnant human right now.
yes, yes, it is. There are a lot of emotions and hormones and yeah, just the journey. I feel like talking about it one day I will cry from it. Um, but like I knew, so I was obviously a gymnast for 18 years. When I was a gymnast, never had a never really actually even had a menstrual cycle. Then night at 19, start birth control. That's going to help you start a period. It's not a real period. And then later on, like you need to do birth control, start your period. And then whenever you talk to doctors, they're like, oh, you're active. That's why you don't have a period. And I don't know, I guess I always just like, listen to their advice. Like, okay, like, yeah, I'm active. Like, that's why I'm not having a period. But I don't think there's a lot of education or there's not a lot of push for like it to be talked about. Or if a doctor is just like, oh, like you don't have a period because you're active, that's fine. And then and I even know a lot about the human body. I know a lot about health. Um, but it was something, I guess, that I wasn't as educated as I thought I should be. And so I ended up getting my women's fitness cert just to learn more about everything. But then in 2021, after I retired from competing, I knew that I had to take action. And so I, didn't necessarily want to admit that I needed help right then and there. So I'm like, I'll take care of this myself. I'm going to slow down workouts. Like, but also, I think just like a body image issue, eating, like everything from being an athlete and then not. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna like lose weight. I'm gonna like, I thought I would like soften up, but then I lost weight and I got leaner. And I'm like, okay, like I need help because I know I need to increase body fat to start my period. A lot easier thought than actually done. And like I knew it in my head, but I didn't want to admit it. And so then I started working with Jen Ryan, a nutritionist, and we did a blood panel and I did see that my hormones were just like all over the place. And I figured there would be a big imbalance just from being an athlete and being under all of this like mental, physical, emotional stress. But then like finding out, especially thyroid, I didn't know that much about thyroid and finding out like I had hypothyroidism, which is like a slow thyroid. I'm like, I'm so lean and so active. Like, how can I have a slow thyroid? That doesn't make any sense to me. But it's like, that's why you do your blood work. So that's kind of where I guess not necessarily started, but like journey of it and then how it come to be. And then I end up like even Jen said, you need more help. So then I end up seeing a fertility doctor as well to go over my blood panels and figure out a way to, be able to hopefully conceive naturally. Though, I mean, at that point, you never know. It's like, okay, we're going to work for this and see what happens. But thankfully, I was able to follow her directions between the fertility doctor and nutritionist, and now we're at where we're at. So it's exciting now, at least.
But wow, what a journey. And you said you were 19 before you had ever had your first period, and then you only got your period because a doctor prescribed birth control?
Yes.
I think that that's something that is so common in a lot of young women growing up in sports, whether it's dance, gymnastics, running, and just to name a few. But you think about the body fat being so low, and I know whether it was me or friends that we didn't get our periods for years, and we were told the same thing as you from doctors: take birth control, it's fine. If you skip a few months, it's fine. It doesn't need to be consistent if you skip 2 years. And it's just interesting to me that it took 33 years for somebody to finally say to you, "Hey, this isn't normal." What what was the response from the doctor that you recently saw when he kind of heard your history of not having a normal menstrual cycle?
Are you talking about the fertility doctor?
I guess so. Was that the so I know that you worked with Jen
Mhm.
Ryan, the nutritionist, and she was the one that recommended you see a doctor, but, like, even your OBGYN, like,
Mhm.
had anybody sounded an alarm when it came to you not getting your period naturally all of these years?
No. I mean, especially when I started out, like, until, like, the fertility doctor too, because they specialize in fertility. And even and this was something that just, like, made me so mad when I went to the OBGYN, because I moved to Las Vegas, so I got a new one here versus, in New York when I lived there. And when I went there, the first question and it wasn't the OBGYN, it was, like, her assistant, but still, um, the first question she asked me, she's like, "Oh, what kind of birth control do you want today?" And I just, like, look and I was like, "Did you even look at my chart? Like, I want the opposite of birth control. Like, I was like, "I don't want birth control. I don't even have periods." She's like, "Wow, you're really lucky." And I was just like,
What?
"Yeah." And I just looked at and I was like, Did you look at this sheet? Like, I wanna get pregnant at some point, and you're saying I need birth control, and I'm lucky not to have a period." Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it
It's
is nice to have a period,
annoying,
but
100%.
looking at it's like, that's not what I mean. So let's just say it was one visit and done and moved on. But I was like, I feel like that's just the problem with like some of the medical system. It's like they're just like, what prescription can we give you, kind of thing. Like, well, look what I'm here for, and then let's talk. But I don't know. That was just like, yeah, a bad experience that I had, and I was just like, oh, this is so sad. But
27 years that you were an athlete, whether it was in gymnastics or CrossFit, did you ever feel fully healthy, or like was it really once you retired that you realized that there might be something wrong, or did you ever get the warning signs from your body or just anything in general?
I mean, when I was competing, I honestly felt great. Like, as far as injury, like, I was really lucky when it came to injuries. I mean, I was tired after 4 to 6 hours of training, so
Sure.
that makes sense. But as far as anything else, like, besides the missed periods, like, or not having the periods, and I think part of that, like, my hormones were just, like, flatline, so, like, I didn't have a lot of the, like, ups and downs that maybe other females athletes have because I didn't have a period. But other than that, there really were no warning signs, which I think is why I was in such shock, especially like the hypothyroidism. And I mean, and then I even got tested later and they're like, oh, you have Hashimoto's too, which is autoimmune from the thyroid. And I think just like hearing that, I was like, it just in shock too, because I'm like, how?
Mhm.
Because I did feel good. And like you look at hypothyroidism and it's like usually really low energy and you tend to be overweight. And I'm like, well, I worked out a lot. So I guess that, helped defeat the overweight part. But as far as like fatigue, like I was a competitive CrossFit, like one of the best in the world at CrossFit. So the whole like low energy, I was like, oh man, how would I have felt if I actually like had fixed my thyroid then?
Mm.
But I never like even doctors like for physical, like they never got like the full blood panel done like Jen Ryan had me get when I first started working with her. So it's just interesting the way that, like, she went about things versus the way, like, I don't know, any primary care that I had seen in the past had gone about them.
And how did you find Jen?
So, Alex Gazan actually had worked with her for a little while, and I was talking to Alex about not having a period and stuff and knew that I needed to change things. And that was after I retired. And she's like, you need to see Jen. Because like I said,
Mm.
after I retired, first I was like, I'll try and do it myself. Like I know a lot about health and fitness. I should be okay, like going on this journey. And it had been a couple months and I was like, this isn't working. And then I sat down with Alex and she's like, you need to talk to Jen. And like right then and there, like gave me your contact number. So I was like, okay, I do.
And
Best
talking with
decision I made.
in talking with Alex, did that like strike a conversation that you had maybe then spoken to other athletes, whether they were in the CrossFit space, gym space, just anything in general about topics like this? Or have you since being diagnosed with hypothyroidism?
Before that was the conversation that I had with Alex was really one of the first. I had talked I believe it was after that I talked some with like Bethany Flores about it, with Allison Scuds. So I've talked to like a couple other athletes since Ariel Lowen. So I've talked to a couple other athletes, not a ton though. I think just because I don't know, it still is like kind of shame to talk about. But when you talk like when I talked to the girls, like all of them were so awesome and open and just like talked about what they had gone through. And so it was really cool. Like when you do open that door, like, other women are free to talk about it. So I thought that was really cool. And I have not like really talked to many people about the hypothyroidism. There is one lady that does train at our gym, and she said that she had hypothyroidism, so she takes medication and probably will for the rest of her life. So she recommended like an endocrinologist that I should see out here in Vegas.
Why do you think there is so much shame around just talking about any of this in general?
I don't know, which is I don't know, kind of frustrating, but I think part of it stems from like when you go to school and like you're in like your sex ed class and it's like, oh, females, like your period, you're going to bleed once a month. Okay, great. Moving on. Like they never talk fully about this cycle and like what hormones are, elevated in what periods. Like, oh, when you might have more energy in your period, when you're going to have less energy. There's just not a lot of talk about it when you're like growing up. So I think it kind of stems from that. It's like, okay, well, we didn't talk about it much when we're younger. Why would we start talking about it now? Which I don't know, like, especially as I've gone through all of this and I've talked to friends and especially my sister, because we,
Mm.
went through we were both like talking about fertility journey around the same time. And we did say the same thing. Like, it really isn't talked about. We had to read books on books to learn about all of this stuff. And it's like putting the work on females and it's like everyone should learn this in school. Like everyone, males, females, like because I feel like males need to know about it too. Like when I'm tired in the month or when I want chocolate or ice cream or maybe when I have more energy, like it would be awesome for Mitch to know that.
Mhm. Well, even think about, and I think maybe it does stem from young years in health ed class, but if I saw you and I had my period and needed a tampon, I wouldn't just say, "Hey, Kari, can I borrow a tampon?" I would go up to you, I would whisper it to you, and then you would
Mhm.
sneakily give it to me, and I would, put it in my coat, or I'd put it in a pocket. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
this sneaky taboo thing that
Mhm.
nobody really wants to be open about, and I think that's so sad because I feel like even people listening to you be so open about this, there's probably so many people that have dealt with something similar. And I think it's a shame that it took, 30 plus years for a doctor to say, hey, this is what's going on and this is how we can finally help you.
Mhm. No, I agree, and like you said, it almost is like, "Yeah, where's your tamp stick it in your purse, like, don't let anybody
Mhm.
see," and, like, you feel so
Yeah.
weird, like, walking to the bathroom with it, and it's like, if half of this restaurant is females, then half of them, like, know, like, what I'm going through, and so that is really funny that you bring that up too.
Yeah, it's just an interesting human experiment, and it just makes me wonder at what age did we all start to feel shame around something like that, or it was some big secret that we are all keeping from the men in the room, you know?
Mhm. 'Cause it's like men know that we go through it, and they should be thankful because that's how kids are created, like
Exactly. It's all
Mhm.
part of the cycle of life.
Mhm. Yeah.
What I've loved about some of your posts, though, is you do mention your husband, Mitch, and what a great support system he's been through all of this. Can you just kind of speak to that and how he has been able to offer support? Because even though he obviously doesn't understand in the sense he's not going through it, but he's there by your side.
Yeah, and I think even when I started the whole journey, like, I knew my body would change, and, like, we had met when I was, a competitive athlete, and, like, I looked a certain way, and, like, you like to think, like, your partner is attracted to you because of the way that you look, and sorry. Um,
Kari, never apologize for crying.
okay, I'm not sorry.
Thank you.
And so I was like, it's gonna be a big change for me, like, especially with the way that I look, because that's, like, something, I've always taken pride in, like, I look this way, and then I like to think, like, Mitch and I met at a CrossFit New Year party, so he's obviously a very high level competitor and, like, loves working out, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I've been told now I'm not gonna be able to work out as much. I really have to extremely limit my workouts," and, like, we enjoyed that time together, and, he's like, "No, like, you need to," and he actually would be like, "No, you need to go watch TV. You need to go chill. Like, the doctor said you need to lower your stress. You need to go chill." Like, he would almost, like, make mandatory time for me to just, like, chill because he knows I'm not good at it. And, like, if there was days where I was, like, struggling, and then he just, like, would always, like, just, like, reassure me, like, "No, I love you for the person that you are, not how you look." And just saying things like that, even if it was, like, days, like, even if I hadn't said anything, and I like, he can just tell, like, if I'm, like, down on myself or whatever, or if I just, like, female hormones, you just start crying for no reason, and he's like, "It's okay, like, come here." I'm like, "I feel so crazy." He's like, "You're not crazy." And I feel like just having that, because if I was by myself and I'm, like, just sitting there crying for no reason, then I'd be like, "What's wrong with me? Why
Mhm.
am I so crazy?" Like, something is going, and it's just, like, having him there, like, every step of the way, like I said, to help with what the doctor told me to do, because, I love going, and he's like, "No, like, this is what you have to do. This is what the doctor said." And just being there for me, like, no matter what I was going through, or I joked about, like, giving me chocolate too, because, like, some days I'm like, if I was, like, crying, and he's like, "Is there anything I can get for you?" I'm like, "Chocolate." And so, like, he would go to the store and get me chocolate and stuff, and so it's just, like, having someone there that's just, like, fully supporting what you do, and, like, being at the doctor visit, like, whatever, if I wanted him there. If I didn't want him there, he wouldn't be there. So, it was really, like, I don't know, he knew the balance of how much to be there for me and support me, and then if there was times where I'm like, "No," or if, like, I'm like, "I just need to go for a walk. I need to be away." So, I think it is so important. I feel like in anything that we do to have that
Mhm.
support system, because I mean, number one, accountability. Like, it probably would have taken me longer if it was just by myself to get where I am. And then it just makes it so much more rewarding at the end too, because it's like, okay, we did this together. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, having him along the whole way, just it meant so much. And I was like, I know we found each other at the right time, so it all worked out well.
Well, and even just the journey of your body has changed from being a competitive athlete to retiring to figuring out your fertility journey to now being pregnant. I'm sure that that takes a mental and emotional toll in itself because we look at ourselves in the mirror naked for this many years looking a certain way and now things are changing. How has that emotional roller coaster been for you, and how have you really been able to come back to home base and appreciate the body that you have even though it's not always easy?
I think the word roller coaster that you said explains it. Like, there's some days that are good, some days not as good. And yeah, even after I stopped competing, it's like I've had a body similar to this. I mean, it had more muscle on it when I was competing in CrossFit versus gymnastics, but I've
Mhm.
always had abs. I've always been super lean. I've always, like, even been able to do certain things, because I remember after I retired and I was talking to a friend, like, about the instruction that Jen Ryan and the fertility doctor gave me, and she's just like, "So what's been harder for you, like, seeing your body change, or knowing
Mhm.
that you can't do those physical things that you used to be able to do?" And so, like, you can't lift as much weight, or maybe you can't run as fast just because you are forced to slow down. And at first I was like, it's definitely seeing my body change, because that's what you see in the mirror every day. And then I feel
Yeah.
like as time went on, it was more what I can't do. Cause now I'm like, oh, I can't lift nearly as heavy as I used to be able to because I had to slow down. But at the end of the day, I feel like what has kind of helped me going is like before I was trained to be an athlete and compete at the CrossFit Games and, ideally win the CrossFit Games. Now I'm training to get my body to get it fertile so that I can be a mom. And so it went from this like mindset of being like an athlete full in. And then now it's like, okay, being a mom full in. So at least I know that I'm like training for something. And I can't be an athlete for the rest of my life. So I'm like, I need to figure out a lifestyle that is going to be sustainable from here on out. So that kind of helped me bridge the gap from when I stopped competing and then, eventually worked with Jen and was told to slow down and reduce intensity, all that stuff. And then the fertility doctor as well. And so knowing like, I was training for this new thing. And then pregnancy has brought a whole new thing because even right after I got pregnant, I was like, my body is just like holding on to more body fat. Like they say the first trimester, like you don't gain like a ton of weight. And I'm like, I'm not eating that much different. I was like, my body just wants to hold on to more body fat, even in my abdomen. But then you think about it and you're like, that's to protect the baby. And so, it still is hard. You look in the mirror one day and you're like, oh, I'm so fat. And then the next day you look and you're like, oh, my body's amazing. Like I'm creating a human right now. And so it's just like this, this back and forth. And it is a mental battle, but I've had so many people like reach out and tell me that, they struggled with the pregnancy for that reason. And so
Mhm.
just hearing other women say that, I feel like is reassuring too, because, especially athletes, like you're seeing your body change and, mainly your belly, but I feel like your body just holds on to body fat in other areas too. So it's like, it's temporary. It's for a little baby girl. It's gonna be worth it. Like, you can do whatever in the long run. Right now, your priority is her, and you kind of need to put, like, yourself and your body image and everything on the back burner and just, like,
Mhm.
know that I'm working out for myself and for her and eating well for the most part, for me and her. And so it's like, it's a temporary stage, and right now she's the priority, and it's not me and my messed up body image issues in my head.
Which is easier said than done, I'm sure, and like you said, like, good days, bad days, and different,
Mhm.
but I think it's great that you have Mitch as a support system and your sister and all of these other people in your circle. Going back to kind of the timeline, so you retired in 2021, and then at what point did you get the blood work and diagnosed with hypothyroidism?
That was in April 2022.
So from there, what was the protocol or procedures? Because were you trying to get pregnant at that time, or you knew that it was something that was coming sooner rather than later?
Yeah, it was something that was coming sooner rather than later. I didn't I wa we weren't I wasn't trying to get pregnant at that time. Mitch and I had talked about it, and if I'm being honest, like, before I met him, I didn't know if I actually wanted kids or not. Like, I feel
Mm.
like I was always the female that was like, I'd be fine without kids." Like, I like doing my own thing, I like
Yeah.
traveling, and then when I met Mitch, it was kinda like, "Hmm, maybe I want a family with this guy." But still at
Mm.
that point, it wasn't like, I mean, we were definitely thinking about it, but it still was like, and I didn't know because I wasn't having a period. So I'm like, okay, even if I wanted a kid right now, it wouldn't happen. So, and that was another thing. Like, he was great and supportive in the journey because he knew, like, obviously he knew my body. I had those conversations and stuff with him. So he knew, like, right then and there, I wouldn't be able to have a kid. And, we ended up deciding that we wanted one. We're both like, we're going to try. And if it doesn't happen, we'll figure out if we would go like another route, whether that's adopt or IVF. We hadn't really come to that yet. We're like, we'll see. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to see what I can do to like get my body right and just be healthy as I can moving forward. Like, I love teaching other women too about their bodies. And I'm like, I feel like I need to know my body if I'm going to help teach other women about their bodies. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was kind of the first step in it all.
And then when you went to the fertility doctor, what were their recommendations? Was that really when you started working out less, you were trying to limit stress, or were there any other things that they encouraged you to get your period on your own and eventually get pregnant?
Yeah, so actually, like, with Jen, she had already said, like, reduce your intensity, your volume. We had added some supplements in, we had some made some nutritional changes, but still everything was, kinda done naturally. And then when I went to the fertility doctor, she basically voiced similar things. And she's like, yeah, you really need to lower your physical, but also along with your physical, like your mental stress. It all goes together in your hormones. And so that was the big thing is like lower your physical stress, lower your mental stress, like just lower all of your stress in general. And then to like Jen had never directly like said it. I mean, she's like slow down, whatever, but the fertility doctors basically said like you're gonna need to gain some padding. And I was like, so by
Mm.
padding, you mean body fat? And she's like, just to support your body and like to help like your estrogen levels and everything. Like, yes, body fat, but padding. And I was like,
Mm.
'cause, like
That's a
Jen
nice
was
way to put it.
I know. And Jen was always like, you need to reduce your workouts and whatever to make your body feel safe. Because she's like, right now, like it's
Yeah.
under so much stress, it's not going to feel safe to conceive and then to hold the baby. And then I went to the doctor and I feel like she said a lot of similar things to Jen and then like even more. And I actually was put on progesterone for a while as well. Um, because just to help with the hormones and everything. And two, I think that helped increase body fat. At least maybe, I mean, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I did increase body fat and was taking the progesterone, which I feel like the progesterone, my hormones and just like my moods. And this is when I think it was the first week that I started taking it.
What
I
is it?
it's called progesterone. So your body actually naturally makes progesterone. And so
Okay.
that's why I was like, okay, I'm willing to take it because they have other medications and stuff that you can. And we wanted something like that was the most natural possible. And so it's like your body already makes it. Okay, cool. And this will help like jumpstart. And
Is it a
so
pill, injection? How do you take it?
it's a pill. And
Okay.
it's actually the ones that I had were like these like fun little orange is my favorite color. And they were these little
It
orange
was
balls.
fake.
Yeah. Yeah, they're little orange balls that you take, like, right before you go to bed, they help you sleep, but we had, like, the first little bit that I took it, the dosage was too high, and the doctors, you're there to figure out the dosage, and yeah, I was so tired, and I, like, almost felt like I had, like, COVID again, and I was, like,
Mm.
shivering, and I just couldn't get out of
Oh my
bed,
god.
and I just felt yeah, I felt terrible. And so I think I just did that for like the first month or the first like cycle of it, whatever. And then the next month, she lowered my dosage and yeah, it was much better. But still, I feel like having extra hormones, like it was still like kind of all over the place. And like I said, Mitch was great with all of this because I feel like there was days where I was just like, I hate you. And then there's days where I was just like, I just want to hug you and cry on your shoulder. And like, I was like, I don't know if I could have stayed with me. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, maybe. But like I said, he was just like there through it all and like, whatever he could do to help. Um, and so that was really nice. So yeah, the fertility doctor said some of what Jen did, said some more. And like I said, and then we had to like figure out more of a protocol and kind of a timeline because as they say too, like, I mean, I'm 35, so they're like, oh, you're high risk because of your age. And you don't want to wait like 7 years to try and get a period. So it's like, okay, let's like do these things and let's like be on a clock. Like you need to start this stuff like ASAP, basically. And so we had set goals and like through and would get my blood work done, reevaluate, get my blood work done, reevaluate. So it's kind of this like ongoing process. And like that's when too, you're like, okay, they're my accountability partner as well, because they're going to check in on me in however many months or weeks or whatever it is to make sure that I'm doing this stuff. So I know that I need to stay to the protocol and I can't go and work out as much as maybe my brain was telling me, or, I do need to make sure that I am eating plenty of fats
Mhm.
for supporting my hormones, which is something as an athlete, like I was always more of like a quote unquote carb athlete. Like I loved
Yeah.
carbs. I would still eat fat, but you find out, okay, do need like more fat to support your hormones. And then, yeah, all the supplements and stuff that Jen added too. So there was just a lot of things that were like changing and going on, but we ended up finding, I guess, like the solution for me and what worked.
So how long did that go on before then in fall of 2023, you finally got your period?
It was about a year. From
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, about a year and a half from, yeah, when I started working with Jen, and then I started working with, the fertility doctor in November of 2022, and then, yeah, I finally got my period then in October of 2023. So, it was a year, and I was like, "Oh, man, this is, like" it is amazing when it happened, but I'm like, "Okay, so now this has been a year. Now if we try and get like, should we start right away to, like, try and
Mm.
get pregnant because, clock is ticking, or should we, like, wait a little bit and then try?" And so, we weren't necessarily, like, trying right then, but we're like, "Okay, like, in a couple months after my body's, like, more regulated, maybe we'll, more strictly try."
What emotions went through your body when you finally got your period for really the first time naturally in your entire life?
I feel like everything, especially because I had been working, like, for a while on it, and, like, I think too, like, when you don't have it, you're like, "Okay, will I ever? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with my body?" Like, Jen's telling me I should get it, the fertility doctor is telling me I should get it, but then you hear of, like, women that have, like, different conditions, and, like, we did a lot of the testing, and they're like, "Honestly, like, you don't have like people say like PCOS, like you don't have that." I don't remember even like right now, I can't remember. Pregnancy brain, I feel like is a real thing too. And they're like, yeah, you don't have any of these things that should be getting in the way of you having a period. Yeah, your hormones are all over the place, but if we do the right things, then you should be able to get those in balance. So you should be able to have a period. And like obviously nobody knows how long it's going to take, but as we kept doing the blood work and they saw the progesterone and the estrogen levels and the thyroid levels and cortisol and whatever other hormones, like I feel like there were so many that they were looking at. And FSH, LA, all the things. I feel like as they were looking at all of those, like, oh, these are getting like better and better, like close to where we need them. And I don't remember if it was, I think it was my fertility doctor. Like I had seen her maybe even a couple weeks or I don't know, something like we had got blood work done not too long before that. And she's like, I have a feeling you're going to start very soon. And so just like hear it, and then you like, I feel like you get all like on high and you're like, maybe it's going to happen. But then it's like, well, what if it doesn't, And then I
Mhm.
remember when I actually did start, and I was just like, I don't know if I should call Jen first, if I should tell Mitch first, if I should call my fertility doctor, my sister, my mom, like, who do I tell? Like, and
Yeah.
because like as a 30-something-year-old, women don't get excited for a period.
No, it's embarrassing, it's painful, you don't want
Mhm.
anybody to know, but like you said, as a 30-something-year-old, like, this is one of the most exciting times in your adult life in some ways.
Yeah, I wanted to, like, scream it out on the rooftops. My neighbor probably wouldn't
"I
appreciate
got
that,
my
but
period."
guess what, everybody? They'd probably be like, okay." Like, "Wait, if you have your period, shouldn't you be, like, angry and crazy or whatever?" I'm like, "No, I'm excited."
Yeah, the opposite of whatever people think when it comes to emotions with that.
Yeah, and even, like, when I messaged like, I remember, like, when I had talked to Jen and stuff, and I was like, "Probably one of the only people that are this excited to report to you that I have a period, but that's okay," because she knew that, like, we had been working on it and stuff, so, yeah, it was crazy, and I think I don't know if it was, like, the 1st month or then the 2nd month, because I feel like the 2nd month I was equally as excited because it's like, "Okay, that wasn't just a fluke, like, at least now we have 2 in a row," and then we had 3 and it was just, like, so cool that it's like, "Okay, it wasn't a fluke, and now, like, we do have this good routine of actually, like, knowing what we're doing is working and, that I can keep doing this," because it wasn't just, like, a one-time fluke, and then now you're waiting a couple months for your next one, which Jen actually said was, like, really rare as well as to have one and then another, and then I remember my fertility doctor, like, basically voiced the same thing, and she's like, "3 in a row, like, that's amazing."
What an incredible journey of, adversity that you faced, but getting the cherry at the end of the road with
Mhm.
being pregnant, and maybe that was a bad metaphor considering period, cherry, whatever, you know? It's very fitting, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But if people are watching right now and they're going through something similar to you, or they feel like maybe they're unsure and maybe they could be going through something similar, what would be your biggest recommendation for people to get help that they need?
I mean, definitely find somebody you trust and get a full blood panel. Like I said, that was like where I started, and I needed Jen to tell me that, and just like for all of the hormones, just for everything going on in your body, because I lived a healthy lifestyle. I thought I was healthy, and I had these areas that I wasn't, but your blood work doesn't lie. And then
Mm.
once you do get your blood work, find, yeah, a professional that you trust. And I don't know, I'm very much like not someone that wants to throw you on like a bunch of different medications, and wants to listen to you and your lifestyle. And then be able to incorporate like healthy habits and things moving forward, because now I'm all about like healthy from the inside out, because before it was always, look at the outside. You should, you can't fully tell someone's health from the outside, but it's like, no, like if you're healthy on the inside, you'll be healthy on the outside. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. And actually, like, I am going to be starting a business here soon, just like kind of talking, because I do want to talk about that. And I want to make it more well known for women to talk about that, and about hormones and mindset. I feel like are two things that I've learned so much about. Like, I know a lot about health and fitness and working out and nutrition and stuff, but the mindset is such an important part. And I think that's where people like, that maybe need help. And I appreciated Mitch for all that he did for me, because having that support system is so big. And then, like you said, having the other friends that I could talk to, whether it was about periods or about now pregnancy and stuff, there's just something about like, we're humans. We're meant to socialize. We're meant to talk. We're meant to interact with other people, learn from other people. And I think that's such a big part of why I was so successful, because I do have like a variety of people that I trust or that I can talk to. And I do want to make that for other women too, that maybe aren't as fortunate as me in their support systems. Because I've met some people, and I mean, maybe they don't have as supportive of a partner or even female friends that they can
Mhm.
talk to about this kind of stuff. Because like we said, like, yeah, you could come ask me for a tampon. Maybe they don't have somebody that they could ask for a tampon, but
Yeah.
they can talk to an online community that's gonna tell them about their periods or whatever. So, yeah, get your blood work done, find somebody you trust, and then find a solid support system.
When are you launching this business?
Very soon, very soon, within the next couple weeks.
Okay. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And people can follow along on your Instagram to see when you're gonna make that announcement, and if they wanna get involved, is that where we should be on the lookout?
Yep. I have my Instagram, then I also have my Facebook page, and then my website is just karipearce.com, which will be launching soon as well.
Okay, I'll make sure I include all of that in the description too, to make it easy for people to click and get the help and have the conversations like this that I think we should be having more of, because there shouldn't be shame behind these things or the uncomfortable awkwardness around them, because it really is just the human journey, the human experience, and the more we can connect with each other, the more we can relate.
Yeah. And even like as I've been posting and stuff, I feel like so many people have either commented or messaged me separately about like infertility, that they were trying to get pregnant for 5 years, or that they had
Mm,
hypothyroidism, or similar, like what you had said, that they were going through this journey and they're like, I don't even know where to start, And I think it's something we need to be able to talk about, whether it's, you know, trying to get pregnant in your periods, or even, as you get older, menopause. Like that's something people don't talk about either. There's just
yeah.
so many things in women's health and women's life that are so taboo, and hopefully we can kind of change that. And that's, with me sharing my journey, I've already heard like a lot of women speak out, and I just hope it helps other women feel comfortable enough to speak out, wherever it is.
Well, Kari, I so appreciate you, first of all, posting everything on Instagram, because it just was a breaking off point for us to have these deeper conversations. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And I can't wait to see the rest of your journey and your little baby girl. June, is that when she's due?
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah.
have a list of names? You don't need to share them here, but have you and Mitch already started to make a list?
Yeah, we have. And we're in agreement for the most part. So
Okay,
I don't know
that's
if
pretty
we'll,
good.
yeah, we have a list. We actually haven't even decided on like one yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if we'll decide before, or like some people are like, oh, when I met her is when I
Mm.
decided. So we're not totally sure what we're going to do yet, but we have a couple months and I'm sure we'll figure it out and we'll decide.
Okay. Well, we will be following along from the other side of the screen. Thank you again, and we'll catch up soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lauren.